Welcome to the 2023 Western Minnesota Steam Threshers Reunion. These are just some of the many stories told by the military veterans who have served this country.
Well, my name is Colonel Gary H. Olson from Moorhead, a member of the Moorhead American Legion Post 21, and I was in the Air National Guard for 8 years and the Air Force Reserve for 29. I went from 56 to 93. I was enlisted for 6 years as an aircraft instrument technician. Then I got a commission through the North Dakota Air National Guard in 1962. I was an admin officer, and then I went down to the 934th, which is now an airlift wing in Minneapolis. I was there for about 22 years. Went down to Tinker Air Force Base for 8 years and 3 different jobs down there. And well, I was also an Air Force Academy liaison officer for about 20 years. Been a member of the American Legion since 1968. Came back from Charlotte, North Carolina for the American Legion Convention just a couple days ago. And here I am carrying the flag at the opening ceremony of the Military Appreciation Day for the Steam Threshers. I'm also a life member of Steam Threshers. I come down here and usually sell raffle tickets, but there's no raffle this year that I know of. So that's the short story. And I taught school for about 18 years at a high school in adult vocational agriculture. I have 40 years in the insurance business.
Name is Peter Larsson. I'm from Moorhead, Minnesota. I grew up in Moorhead. I was actually born in southern England when my father was in the Army stationed over in England. I was in the U.S. Air Force for 4 years and the North Dakota Air National Guard Happy Hooligans for 17 years. I joined right after high school. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do as my job, so I went and joined the Air Force. Went into electronics as an enlisted. First, I went to the electronic sensor systems, which allowed me to work on the SR-71 reconnaissance airplane out of Beale Air Force Base in California. And after that, for about a year, I went to Thailand to go to Udorn Air Force, Royal Thai Air Force Base for a year, where I met my wife about 50 years ago. Then I went back to Beale Air Force Base and stayed with them for about 9 months. For 3 months I was in Okinawa working with the SR-71, which was flying over North Korea basically, in North Vietnam at the time. Happened to go through a typhoon, which was interesting. Then I went back to the Thailand, and that was for about 9 months in 1975, right at the end of the Vietnam War when they evacuated Saigon and evacuated Phnom Penh. And after that, the Royal Thai Air Force basically asked us to kind of pack up and leave. The neighbors were getting nervous with them, and so we agreed. But during that time, I did get married to my wife, got all our paperwork done, and by the time I finished leaving there, I was able to return to the U.S. Then I went back and started working with the North Dakota Air National Guard as a part-time. I just did the weekend service. I was working with the Internal Revenue Service also at the time, after college. With the Air National Guard, I was working with the first 101 Voodoo for a little bit, an infrared targeting system. Then I worked with the F4D in the radar shop. And with that, I went over to Ramstein, Germany for 3 months, 41 days, 45 days. And we stood alert when they were converting from F4s to F-16s over in Germany. And of course, that was when Chernobyl went up. I was in Europe for 45 days and Chernobyl went up during that time. So, yeah, that's what happened. But that's been my military service, and as I say, I have no qualms about it. I found my wife. I got a degree in accounting. Now I'm receiving a retirement pay, and I'm getting good health insurance, so I'm very happy with my service with the U.S.
My name is Richard Banman. I was born in Hillsboro, North Dakota. I was in the Navy for 4 years, and in Europe, and Caribbean, all over. Africa, all the military. 5 kids, all married, all gone. I guess that's about all, I guess.
My name is Dan Schmidi. I'm from Fargo, North Dakota right now. I was in Iraq. I've been a member of WMSTR for the last probably 25 years. I blacksmith for a hobby. And a little bit about what I did and stuff. I joined the Guard in 1983. And I was going to get out at 20 years. I was 11 days short of that when we got called and sent to Iraq. So from there it was downhill. I come back, I stayed in. I went to work up in Devil's Lake as an instructor back in 2008, and I just retired last October. So with about 4 months short of 40 years. Had over 17 active. So, but yeah, that's pretty much my story. That's, say a little Iraq, we were over there. I was an engineer. I was in the first convoy engineers that rolled into country behind the ground war. I mean, so we spent a year over there. We came home, and yeah, from there it was just kind of like I had to go. I'm a 100% disabled veteran, so it's, other than that, I guess I really ain't got much more to say. That's.
Okay, I'm Glen Mar. I'm from Pelican Rapids, Minnesota. I served in the United States Army in 1959 and worked as a payroll specialist between the Korean conflict and the Vietnam era. We made out payrolls for all the officers and the housing and the enlisted men. And so we were paid out in cash in those days. And we would have to take a ride down to the bank, under guard, down to the bank and get the money and come back up to the headquarters company where the colonel would pay the troops, and I would mark off their vouchers as each troop came through. That's about it, probably.
My name is John W. Benter. I'm from Crosby, North Dakota. I was stationed in the South Pacific, landed in New Guinea, went up to Lady and Luzon in the South Pacific.
And how long did you serve?
3 years in the South, all in the South Pacific. Yep. I was just out of high school. I enlisted. I graduated in 1943, June 11th and the 13th. I volunteered for the military, and I ended up in the South Pacific. And it was quite an experience for somebody that right coming out of high school. And there was 2 enemies in the South Pacific, the Japanese and the jungle. And it took you 6 months to get used to the jungle, all the noise and the commotion. But we survived, and I learned 3 things in the Army. Grown men do cry, you can't sleep standing up, and if you really, really get scared, you lose your voice. And the experience in the military, the pay wasn't the greatest, but the experience was priceless.
We salute these veterans and thank them for their service to this country. If you'd like to share these stories, please do so by clicking on the share button below.